All right, it's about time to start. I want to thank everybody for joining our webinar today. This will take about 30 minutes, and feel free to stop and ask me if you have any questions as I'm moving along. We're going to move fairly quick because what we're going to do today is provide you with a nice overview of Exploring Science, the platform MindTap School, for Exploring Science. And the goal is really to just make you familiar with kind of basic navigation. And we offer other webinars that you can kind of dive deeper. And please reach out to your sales consultant or your local digital engagement consultant for more information on that. But the idea for today's webinar is just to provide you with a nice overview of the platform, both on the teacher side and the student side. So right now we've already logged in, and what we're looking at is Exploring Science Grade 3 on the teacher side. So some basic navigation tips right here in the navigation bar, or you'll hear it often referred to as like the hamburger, because of the 3 different options here. We'll open and close, and you'll see the pictures automatically resized. And what you'll see here on the left-hand side of the page is your table of contents. So as you dive into the different units, you will see that this changes. To go back, simply click the back arrow and you're back. So the idea is if we were to look at the life cycles lesson plan, we click into life cycles. Again, this is grade 3. You will see that it's reflected here. On the teacher side, couple things to note, and this is teacher and student side, I'm sorry. If you want to collapse that to make a little bit of a bigger viewing, you can. If you want to put this in full screen mode, simply click here. It will put it in full screen mode. To exit, simply click it again and you will be out. Some other kind of basic navigations, the pages kind of are consumed vertically opposed to left and right. When you use the left and right arrows, you'll be taken to the next lesson essentially on the teacher side. So when we click right, you'll see here now we're at the life cycles of a jalapeno pepper plant. If you want to quickly jump through the 5 E's, you simply click and we are jumped through. To look at different teaching strategies, simply click strategies. And again, it's the same concept: academic vocabulary, differentiated instruction. But importantly, what you want to click on simply will show up. Apologies for the sirens in the background. As most of you know, I'm in New York, and that's not something I can control. I'm going to just give it a second for them to go by. Okay, so the next pieces that we're going to look at are some other options that we have while looking at the teacher side. One, and this is true on the student side as well, so I most likely won't show it on the student side, depending on the time, but the idea is when we click open notes, you have the ability to add a note. You can title the note, so life cycle of a jalapeno, and whatever kind of notes that you wanted to write, for your students, focus on this strategy, etc. You can keep them here. Simply click save and it will be saved. Okay, you can always come back in and edit and throw them out if needed. So you would click the notes and you'll see a list of your notes. You can also bookmark your page, or bookmark the lesson plan, as well as add highlights. So the idea is you will go ahead and select some text. So, this hands-on experiment is going to be great, but I really want to remember to ask this question. So we're going to highlight that using a simple left or right option, click highlight, and now we have our different colors: yellow, blue, pink, and green, same as the students have the same options as well. Okay. Some other options that we have within this particular piece is the ability to open the standards. When you click standards, this is going to show you the standard correlation for this particular lesson. They're also available, you'll see them here as well. But I think this is a really nice condensed way to search and see what standards are being covered. Boom, boom, okay? The other option here to kind of flick back and forth is, so not only can you use your left and right, but you can also use the table of contents here. If you want to jump back to the home page, which we will do right now, we simply click right here, and now we're in our home page. Okay. When we're on our home page, we're going to kind of quickly discuss the crumb bar here, and I'll walk you through some of the options here. So you saw the standards correlation as we looked into an actual page. So right here, right? You can also search by standard correlation by clicking the standard correlation option, and you're able to search by Common Core state standards for grade 3, as well as the next generation science standards. So this allows you to search the entire platform for those standards without having to click through each page. So this is another really helpful tool. So let's go into NGSS, and now we can look by strand, right? So DCI standards, performance expectations. So it's a really nice way to start to narrow this down. And then as we look through each particular piece, we're able to kind of see exactly where in the student edition that particular standard is being covered, okay? If we were gonna click, right, it'll launch our student edition and we will see that standard covered. Takes us right to the page, so very helpful, okay? The next option that we're gonna look at, so I'm gonna navigate back to the home page, is our search tool. So the search tool, again, will search the entire platform. So if we were to search, push, we'll see everywhere in the program where push is, where the word push or pushes and pull are referenced. The idea is you can filter this by standard, by unit, both the student and the teacher's edition, which is great, right? So, oh, I know we're doing pushes and pulls. I simply type in push, and now I can come back, and if I click right here, it'll take us directly to the teacher's edition for pushes and pull. Okay, one of the great pieces with this also is the ability to save a search, and that's nice from the standpoint if it's something you want to reference quickly in class, you can easily jump back. So when we come here, we are right back in there, okay? Again, we're going to navigate back to the home page just so we're going to keep everything crisp and clear. The next piece that we're going to look at is the matrix icon, okay? Actually, you know what? I apologize. Before we jump into that, let me pause and see if there's any questions. And as I'm pausing, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a unit or to a lesson plan, I'm sorry. Yes, good question. So when we're looking at the resources, and that's exactly where I was going to go, so I appreciate that question. You'll see on the top right-hand corner of the page, we have something called general resources, okay? These resources are going to be specific to what you're working on. So the idea would be, when we're looking at Unit 2, we will see resources specific to Unit 2. So your resources are going to change based on the title you are looking at. We're going to further explore this on the student side as well. So you'll see all of your general resources. This is where your exam view files can be downloaded. This is where your assessment handbook is. So I don't want to gloss over this because this is very important. If you're looking to print out assessments, this is a great way to do it. This is where your galleries are. This is where your informational text, your science letters home, your hands-on experiment materials list. So it's very important to reference this resources piece here. So thank you for the question, very good. And again, just know that that will change depending on what you've selected over here, right? We want our resources to be a point of use. So we're gonna go back to the matrix icon. We're gonna click the assignments. And this is where you will see a full list of all of the assignments that are available, okay? For ease of viewing this, I typically click collapsed all, and then this way we can navigate to the specific unit that we're looking at, or the specific strand, sorry. So we'll look at life science, and everything with a checkbox can be assigned to students, okay? So you have all of the different lesson plans can be assigned, okay? You have all the different more to explores can be assigned. So it really gives you a great way to start to assign different things to students, okay? So if we expanded them all, you can see all of the options available. What we want to look at first are the Unit 1, and it doesn't matter, sorry, I should have said Unit 1, but what we want to look at is assessments. So not only can you assign the different pages for students to read and the different projects, the different investigations. You can assign assessments that are completed online. So there's a couple different ways to do this. If we were to click this link, we select the assessment. This gives us as teachers the ability to preview the assessment. Right? We click left and right arrows to preview the assessment. Please know that the assessments have the option to be read aloud for students by clicking the read speaker icon. Okay. So let's say this is, plan, conduct an investigation for forces. So this is something we want to assign. So we can click assign. We want to select the start date. We want to select a due date. We can put a category. So let's say it's a quiz. And now we want to say we were going to give the students one attempt to complete this quiz. If we had multiple students, and again, this is just a demo class, I created it before the webinar today. You can select what you would see down here. So this would be populated with a list of student names. And what you can do here is you can select specific students to take the assessment. So if you wanted, half the class to take this assessment, the other half to take another assessment. If you wanted to give, if certain students for IEP requirements or other needs were required to have multiple attempts on a quiz, you might say, okay, for these group of students, I'm going to give 3 attempts, and you select their names and then click submit, and those students will have 3 attempts. Okay, so it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of assigning and administering the assessments. So you go ahead and click submit, and now that has been assigned to those students. Okay, to take that a step further, if you're in an academic setting, which I know some of you mentioned before, if in your classroom you use Google Classroom, you have the ability to embed these links directly into your Google Classroom. This icon right here is the first step in that process. If you don't have Google Classroom, you can simply copy this link and put it into other learning management systems or Edmodo or anything that you typically use to push out digital content to your students or assessments. You can embed this link directly into that. The students will click it and they'll be automatically taken to the assessment. If we wanted to follow the Google Classroom process, we click the Google Classroom icon. We log in, right? So this should look very familiar to those of you who use Google Classroom. In fact, let me make it a little bigger. And I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but you would go choose your class, choose the action. So we want to create an assignment. We go. Here is the title of the assignment. You can put instructions. You can change your point total, your due date. So all of this is obviously going to be specific to the classroom, not the platform. Click assign. And now that assignment has been posted to your Google Classroom. You can view it by clicking view, and it'll take you directly to your Google Classroom page. So we wanted to provide teachers the ability to assign directly into Google Classroom right from the platform. And again, if you don't use Google Classroom, you can still get the same results by copying this link, click copy, and pasting it into the desired platform or communication method that you typically use to push out digital content. Okay, so to go back to the assignments, click assignments. Now let's say, for example, you want to assign strength and direction of forces, but you also want to assign the STEM engineering project. So you can click multiple checkboxes, click assign, and you have that same option to assign start date, due date, change the attempts, and that's another way to assign, not only the different readings and projects, but also the digital assessments. Okay? And again, to preview, we simply click the link and we're able to preview what that's going to look like, regardless of if it's an assessment or a reading. Okay. When we click gradebook, this is going to show us the gradebook. So this is showing, we don't have any student data to display because we don't have any students, but essentially what you would see here is a list of student names running down this left column here. And then horizontally, you would see their grades. And then this top one would show their average. If the assignment had a written component, there'd be a nice little pencil there indicating that, hey, I need to go in there and kind of adjust that. You can export the data into an Excel or CSV file. You can add different categories and change the weighting. And then you can just change the display if you do points versus percentage, or you want to sort by first name, ascending and descending. Okay. This option right here, groups, allows you to create groups of students. We don't have any students enrolled, but this is where you could create those groups, and you could base it on skill, IEP, or whatever kind of helpful way to organize your class. You can certainly do that. You click add group. We don't have any students, and you'd follow that process. You'd create the name of the group, Dave's group, and then you would select students to that class, okay? Into that group. The next option in the icon here, this drop-down menu, is going to be to look at the Study Hub. The Study Hub is great. And again, guys, what I'm showing you here is true on the student side as well. Obviously, on the student side, they don't have the ability to assign assignments or manipulate a grade book, but they do have the ability to look at a grade book and look at some of this info, which I will show on the student side as well. But in Study Hub, and this is true on the teacher and the student side, you will have a list of your notes and highlights, and it'll show you what unit they were made. It'll also timestamp with the date when they were made. If you click on this arrow, it will take you directly back to the page where that note and highlight was made. It's a great tool to help students kind of keep themselves organized, and teachers. Okay, you'll have your bookmarks here, which will take you directly back to the page, as well as your saved searches. I think this is super helpful when planning that kind of out in advance, and there's kind of key areas that you want to recall. I think this is a great way to use that. And that's all stored under the Study Hub. Okay, so to reiterate, your teacher's edition, the navigation all happens within the page. What we're going to do now is jump to the student edition. You have a support link, which is going to take you to our core support page. So that's a good remember. You can always ask me or your DEC or your local sales consultant, but know that if you click support, it will launch our support page where we have different instructor guides, system requirements, all sorts of great resources. Okay. What we want to do here now is go ahead and launch the student edition. So when we launch the student edition, we're essentially replicating what the kids see. You'll see that there's no table of contents. Instead of that little hamburger, there's a home bar. You'll also see the students having access to anything that you had assigned, right? So if we had multiple assignments that weren't viewable here, so it's about 4 or 5, you would use the up arrow and the down arrow. If we were going to go ahead as a student and take this assessment, we simply click this link and it's going to launch that assessment. Questions 1 through 10. Okay. When we are a student and we're going to jump, so I always suggest, like, hey, if I'm going to, have them read something for homework or read something in class, or I want them to go to that engineering project, I always say, hey, go ahead and assign it. So all they need to do is click that link, boom, here's the STEM engineering project, and they can access that without having to flip through the pages. They're ready, they're focused, and they're good to go. On the student side, the same pieces, are available in terms of navigating. One of the things that we want to kind of point out, right, obviously, is the read speaker, so text to speech icons, the ability to kind of open and navigate. And it's the same thing when we're looking at the student side, any info buttons, hotspots, the information is consumed vertically, and then to switch content, we go left to right. Okay. From the student side, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the home page. We'll look at some of the options that we have. We have the library icon here. The library is broken down into, really 6 sections. So it's like the student's table of contents. So we have welcome, nature of science, physical life, earth, and more to explore. So if we were to go to life science and look at the life cycles of plants and animals, you're seeing how this TOC, this table of contents, is reflective of what we were looking at on the teacher side. So if I click life cycle of a jalapeno pepper plant, we'll give it a second to load here, this is going to take us to what the students see. Now remember, you can preview that through the assignments, but here you go. Know that, when you click on certain icons, you'll have some interactivity. But really the idea is for students to be able to consume this. Here's the text to speech. To wrap it up, okay, Certain Rapid Ups will have an interactive component where students are clicking and dragging. It's very informal, but the idea is that, we want students to be able to manipulate and work with the content at a point of use. Okay. So, we're not going to go into the content here, but know that My Science notebooks often have an interactive component. When we talked about resources, remember that on the student side, the resources are also available here. The idea being, when we're on the page, that's where our resources will kind of jump up and show. They're available, and they will change based on the content that you're viewing. Okay, so it's important to know that. Your students will have the same pieces here in terms of Study Hub. We didn't make any notes, but they have bookmarks and saved searches. You'll see that their menu icon is limited, right? Because there's no ability for them to edit, but the basic navigation is the same. Essentially, their assignments are here, their home page is here. They have the ability to search for content. Okay, when they click library, they can dive directly into their library if you did not assign it. Okay. Thank you very much for spending, about 25 minutes or so with me this morning, maybe a little less. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to your digital engagement consultant or your local sales consultant. And good luck in the rest of your school year, or if you are looking at this the beginning of the 2019-2020 school year, best of luck with the start of this year.